Hiya folks, JD here, and I've been asked a question by Wolfy, and that question is, if you have the standard SJRC F11 and the SJRC F11 Pro, can you interchange these camera modules? Well, on face value, I said yes, and then I've been thinking a lot about this particular question, and I wanted to just make a little video and just see exactly whether that is the case. I don't like to guess about things. I don't like to just assume that because they are the same quadcopter that they have the same dimensions and they have the same fittings. Now, when I said yes originally, I was just going by exactly as I just said. They are the same quadcopter but with different modules. Now this is the standard. As you can see, you have one screw in the top here. You have no other screws here or anywhere else. The whole camera module itself is sort of made around this sort of quite crazy S shape, and the module itself fits in. Now if you just move it slightly, there's a little bit of give there. And likewise on the other side, there's a little bit of give this side as well. You'll also notice that the SD card writer is mounted on this little platform. Whereas if we have a look at the SJRC F11 Pro and still keep the F11, trying to keep that in frame, you'll notice that the S shape is still the same. We've now introduced one screw at the top here, which is what we had in the other one. There's no more on either side there. The camera itself, obviously, it is upgraded. This is one of the only upgrades you're going to see on the F11 Pro. That is on the front there. And you'll notice what they've done is they've tried to make everything look a little bit nicer by, instead of having this great big lump that just sticks out at the top there for the SD card writer, they've actually got it built in there. So that is one particular issue, one particular thing you're going to find. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these apart and I'm going to measure them, and I'm going to see whether or not the connection is the same on the inside, and I'm going to see exactly how difficult it is for you to replace this yourself. If you have got an F11, and if you do buy the F11 Pro, and then if you do crash, say, the F11 Pro but the camera module's fine, that would be a good example of where you could, of why you'd want to replace these modules. So what I'll do is, give me a couple of seconds, I'm going to find some tools, and then we're going to look at taking this apart and seeing exactly what we've got and what we can do with it. Now, I have my driver. It's important to say at this point, this is not a how-to. This should not be followed. You do run the risk of breaking your quadcopter if this is not done correctly. Now, I have not done this before. I haven't done a dry run. I don't do those sort of things. I just jump on camera, tell you know, and then I'll just let you know my thoughts, and then we go from there. Now, with this, I do run the risk of breaking either one or both of my SJRC F11 quads. That's not an opportunity. That's not something that I relish, but I am going to give this a shot and see exactly how far we get. So what I'm going to do is just unscrew this, what looks like to be this one little locking screw there, and gently try to prise this open. Now, what you get on the inside is you don't get a complete module. See? You just get spare wires everywhere. You get your antenna, which is your black cable running towards the back here, and then you get all your other cables and your wires inside there. It is not a module that you can just take straight off. Now, that is the Pro, and then if I do the F11 as well, the standard, and if I take this off, I'm going to put this screw to the opposite side so I can still find it. I would imagine this is roughly the same. Come on. Now this one is not budging at all. Oh, see, that is not budging at all. And there's no other screws other than that one. Everything else is just a blanking plate. There's no, unless there's a screw on the inside. But I tell you what, that folks, that is not coming. You can see how white my knuckles are getting, and that is not coming off at all. That really is not. So I'm not going to force that. It may be a case that you have to unscrew all this, and then maybe there are some screws on the inside, because that's not budging at all. And I'm not going to force that anymore, because as you know, I love these quadcopters and I don't want to break it. But I will go back in a second to the F11 Pro, and there we go. We open up this. And let's have a little look on the inside. See? So that is everything you get. It is just a bare frame. So inside there, you've got your printed circuit board, you've got your cables, your connectors, you've got your antenna running down the bottom, you've got your you've got your camera falling off all over the place. Sorry, folks, if that made anybody feel seasick. You've got your Wi-Fi. Let me just get something. Which is, I've got no plastic, so I'm going to use the reverse of the screwdriver. Inside there, you've got your Wi-Fi module inside there, just at the top. with that, and your SD card writer built into the side as well. So you can see you've got a lot like an old Apple Wi-Fi module. You've got your two little antennas either side there, one that runs to the front, one that runs to the back. That in itself, that is a complete module. So I would imagine that the inside of the F11 looks exactly the same. I'm not going to force it. You see, I'm not going to force it and break it, but you get the idea. I think what I'm going to say from this point, even if you're a hobbyist, I would not recommend that you replace the camera modules. I would recommend that you either repair the quadcopter if it can be, or throw it in the bin and buy a new one. Because the last thing you want is to have a quadcopter you think is fully repaired and up and running, but then you find that something has gone wrong in the repair process and the quadcopter doesn't work anymore. As for, now I know I'm going to get a few questions on, yeah, but what if I have an F11? Should I replace the camera module? My answer is no. Straight, as simple as that, no. I don't reckon that you should replace that module. This module on the standard did not come off easily at all. It took a lot of effort, and still it didn't come off. This module in the camera on the Pro, that is still on there as well. But that came off a lot easier. But as you can see, it's not a fully contained module that just slides off like we had on a couple of like we had on the Ishin a couple of months ago, or actually last year. It is a module that comes off, and then you've got to undo all the cables, pull everything off gently. If I could open this, then I could tell you if they could be interchanged, but as I said, I don't recommend that. And also, one other thing I do recommend that I didn't do in this instance is you take out the battery before you do any sort of repairs or crack open anything. That's my bad. As you can see, it happens to everyone, and it's happened to me this time. I left both of these power units connected. That is not recommended at all. So I would say to you, if you're going to work on any quadcopters, and I run the risk of sounding, you know, of teaching my grandmother to suck eggs here and sounding like a broken record, but take out and disconnect any power supply before you touch anything. Even if it's something as small as this, it can still give you a bit of a zap. Right. That being said, I don't think you should change either of these camera modules. If you damage a quad and if you want to repair it, my honest idea is, for the price of these, I would just throw it in the bin or recycle it, and I would buy another one. Now, when I crash a quad, I don't crash that often to the point where I can't repair. The few things that I like to do is I like to take off the motors and get rid of all of the of the cabling and remove the cabling with it as well, noting anything like plus or minus or any other labels you may have on the cables. Some of them do, some of them don't. And also, I like to take off the camera modules, I like to take the batteries out, and I like to remove the LEDs also, as well as the propellers. That's usually what I try and salvage from anything that's broken, albeit a car, a quad. I will go for some just kind of cosmetic things. They're nice to have, nice to hold. If the quadcopter itself has stopped working, but if the body is intact, I like to keep the bodies as well and then build them up into other quads. Right then, my friends, that is a bit of a weird video, but ultimately I would say do not take these off and do not repair them yourself. Alright, my friends, I'm going to call that there. Thanks ever so much for watching and listening. I've been JD, you've been fantastic as always. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe and ring that bell too. Hello and welcome to all the new subscribers. I hope you're enjoying the channel. So until next time, my friends, happy flying.